Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome all the participants and our eminent speakers for today's session, which is around what business opportunities are there for Indian manufacturing MSMEs uh, with respect to the Asian markets as such. And we have with us today two very eminent speakers. We have Dr. H.P. Kumar, who is the former CMD of National Small Industries Corporation, NSIC, and he is currently spearheading Power to SMEs External Affairs Department, which serves the objective of the company for uh, developing alliances with the industry and the government. And we also have with us Mr. Anurag Avulia. He is the co-founder and CEO of Shopmatic Group, based out of Singapore. And before we initiate the discussion and deliberations on the subject, let me quickly walk you through very briefly about the profile of the organizers. The organizers of this session, it is jointly organized by Power to SME and All India Manufacturers Organization. So Power to SME, it was established in year 2012 by our founder and CEO, Mr. R. Narayan. Mr. R. Narayan is also currently the president of FICCI CMSME, which is the MSME body within FICCI, and it works very closely with the ministry and department, state governments on various MSME related issues. Mr. Narayan came up with a very innovative business model which eliminated the intermediaries in the supply chain of commonly used raw materials from the big manufacturer, and thus we were able to transfer the pricing benefit to the small manufacturer based on demand aggregation model. This is the entire Power to SME ecosystem. Uh, as I mentioned, Power to SME, it deals in raw material procurement and sourcing business. Our arm Finance Me, facilitates loans, working capital loans for MSMEs through our empaneled financial partners in a very seamless and time-bound manner. Our brand SME Shops is the India's largest B2B portal for MRO and industrial goods. Both corporates and MSMEs can buy and sell over SME shops. Last year, we came up with our NBFC by the name BizFunds, which provides a very innovative solutions in working capital and raw material purchase finance. The key product categories that Power to SME deals in include steel, polymer, paints, yarns, chemicals, and there are several others. The major industrial sectors that we cater to includes automobile, engineering, textile, electronics, and there are many more. We are an invested company. Some of the most reputed venture funds of the country have invested in us. Inventors, Kalari, Excel Partners are the few names to take. Nandan Nilekani is also one of our strategic investors. We are also funded by World Bank through its financial arm, International Finance Corporation. These are the few awards and accolades that we have won since our inception. And this is our social media presence and where you can find us. Any one of you wanted to know more about our services can get in touch with us. And before I hand over the session to Dr. H.P. Kumar, let me request all of you, if you have any questions or queries to be raised to the speakers, kindly submit your queries in Q&A in chat box. And these questions will be taken to the speakers in the Q&A session during the conclusion of the discussion. So with these words, I would request now Dr. H.P. Kumar to kindly take the discussion forward. Over to you, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Zumair. I think we have a very important discussion coming up on a very significant issue, which is very relevant to the micro, small, and medium enterprises in the country. Well, all the businesses, but since we are talking about MSMEs in particular, so it is going to be really beneficial for the MSME sector. And we have a very eminent, guest to speak about what are the facilities and how is the facilitation being done by Shopmatics, which is his company, all across the Asian continent, Well, I would say Asia is, of course, a big continent with diverse, economies. If you talk of China and Japan and South Korea and all these developed countries, with you know, very wide differences between the per capita income of these developed countries and countries like Nepal, Bhutan, and Myanmar and Bangladesh, Afghanistan, CIS countries, and all these countries. But then there are certain countries like Malaysia and Indonesia, and which are bit closer and rising countries, and they have similar problems as India has, in fact. So there is a lot of similarities between many of these Asian countries. The problems with regard to growth of the industries, international trade, expansion of exports and imports, and there are many other logistical issues, taxation problems, treaties. All these issues keep coming up time and again. But even then, the opportunities are wonderful. Opportunities are really uh, huge, because I was looking at the export import figures of India with the other Asian countries. It has though it has picked up over the years, but then the kind of trade which is happening between developed countries of Asian continent and other developing countries and underdeveloped countries is huge. The volumes are huge. Well, over a period of time, the Indian companies, particularly the startups, have also started looking at exploring the developing Asian countries, uh, because there are many advantages in terms of expanding operations by startups and also MSMEs, because MSMEs also look for expanding their businesses now with the change in definition of MSMEs. A lot of companies which were not there earlier as MSMEs have also become MSMEs now with turnover of 250 crore um, as the definition of MSMEs. I think a lot of them must be looking at the opportunities for expansion in various other Asian countries. Now, what are the items that India is, exporting to these countries and has the potential of export to these countries? What are the items that countries like Singapore is of course a very developed economy. If Singapore is importing these products from India, naturally I can presume very well that these products would be in demand in neighboring Asian countries also. And then Singapore is not importing all the things for consumption in its own country. Singapore must be, must be a route, a transit for international trade and importing the goods from India and then transport and sending it to other countries. So I would like to name a few for the benefit of our MSME participants, because then they can prepare accordingly to look at these new markets. And how do they go about? Of course, we have our guest, Mr. Anurag Avula, who is CEO of Chief Executive, who is the co-founder of Shopmatic Group. Also, I will invite him, in fact, to for a detailed discussion as to how the Shopmatic can really be instrumental and helpful in taking our MSMEs and other business enterprises to these Asian countries. But let me read out some of the products which I found that, because we are talking of manufacturing, while services are also there, but IT, of course, is without it goes without saying that IT, of course, India is substantially ahead of these Asian countries. But then, in terms of manufactured products, some of the very important items which I found was getting exported to Singapore and other neighboring countries are electrical and electronic equipments, mineral fuels, oils, distillation products, machinery, nuclear reactors, boilers, optical, photo, technical, medical, etc. apparatus, pearls, precious stones, metals, coins, spacecraft equipments and parts thereof, plastics and articles organic chemicals, vehicles other than railways and tramway, miscellaneous chemical products, articles of iron and steel itself, of course, essential oils, perfumes, cosmetics, toiletries. Well, the list goes on. There is another maybe. I think I should read out because it will benefit a lot of people who are looking at opportunities in Asian countries. Beverages, spirits, and vinegar, pharmaceutical products. Of course, pharmaceutical India is very strong. Clocks and watches and parts thereof, paper and paperboard, articles of pulp, paper and board, articles of leather, animal goods, harness, travel goods, aluminium and articles thereof, rubber and articles thereof, furniture, lighting, signs, fabricated buildings, articles of apparel, accessories, knit or crochet, nickel and articles thereof, tanning, dyeing, extracts, dairy products, eggs, honey, edible. I mean, there are so many items. But at the end of the list, I find these are the items which are being imported by Singapore from India, and I'm sure that these are the items which are really in need in neighboring countries also, and Indian MSMEs and businesses can surely take advantage of this as to build their capacities and become export oriented. Now with Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, self-reliant India, campaign which the government has launched, the government is also providing a lot of incentives, not only to companies for import substitution so that they can manufacture within India, self-reliant, but also expansion of exports. And what are the items which they need to look at? These are the items which are really other countries needing and which are already in export basket of India. Well, the percentage of Singapore, I've taken Singapore because Singapore I find would represent the continent because that country deals with developed economies also and developing economies also, even Gulf and African region and all those countries. So it is 2.66% of Singapore's import, 2.66% of total imports of Singapore from the world. It's only 2.66% from India. Well, here lies the opportunity. We have counted, I think, tens of items, but then the quantum and value is only 2.66% of one country's import. So that speaks of the volumes. So how do we go about? What do we do? Because as I said, the problems are almost similar. Because there also people look for healthcare, people look for urbanization, people look for educational facilities, people look for manufactured goods, people look for, because ultimately the problem of people in those countries, particularly developing countries and India, is similar. So there is a need of products, but the advantages with these Asian economies, many of them, is that they are English speaking, most of them, and many of them, of course, leave aside China and of course those economies, but then they have internet penetration, they have good bandwidth available, they are IT savvy, and this makes the whole process of e-commerce and all these things very simple and affordable, easy for Indian companies to go and venture out in these countries. So having said that, I would like to you know invite now Mr. Anurag Avula for his own deliberations and discussions. Maybe he has a presentation if he can show. And then we would like to know as to how his company can really guide, mentor, advise the Indian companies to not only expand their operations in various countries, because if you want to go to Malaysia you will have a different strategy, but if you want to go to Japan and South Korea you will have to have a different strategy. But if you're going to other Asian economies like Brunei, I mean, which is already a huge rich country, what are you going to do? So is Anurag ji, is your company helping all these you know connecting all these countries, whichever country, and how is it helping in fact to connect with the buyers or facilitate expansion of activities from Indian MSMEs? So over to you,
So,
Before I, transfer to Mr. Abula, I would like to read tell about his credentials. He is a chief executive officer and co-founder of Shopmatic Group, which is a famous group, of course, a good brand, and is an experienced person with a demonstrated history of delivering value to stakeholders in the internet and payments industry. And is skilled in sales, business development, P&L management, account management, and customer intimacy. Strong business development professional with a postgraduate degree in management focused on marketing and finance from TAPI Management Institute. I think more of his practical experience and knowledge is more important. So over to you, Mr. Abdullah. We look
firstly,
forward to, yeah.
thank you, Mr. Kumar, for the introduction, and I think laying the groundwork for this discussion. And I want to keep it freewheeling and conversational rather than having a presentation which sort of I can always share data points and everything else with folks who might be interested in sort of exploring this further, and I can then take those discussions on. But essentially, I think one of the points I want to make is that two or three very key points for me. Firstly, the market opportunity. And if I were to just break out Asia and focus on the few core markets that sort of we support and we can look at is Southeast Asia, which includes Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Brunei. And the simple number is that the population is 660 million. So while you were speaking of and alluding to Singapore and saying that the percentage of import into Singapore from India is 2.6%, that is with a population of roughly about 6 million. And then there is a larger universe of about 660 million that is present in Southeast Asia, which are actually craving for products that come from markets like India. And we know of that, we've seen it. We've seen businesses in India who actually sell through to buyers in this part of the world. So that's one very critical element. So from an ecosystem and the propellants for driving that opportunity, there are two or three elements. One, of course, is the sheer market size of Southeast Asia. This is not including China, not including Japan, not including Hong Kong, which in itself is a pretty different size altogether from that standpoint. But if I were to just keep the focus on Southeast Asia and make that relevant, considering that Singapore is a route to target the rest of Southeast Asia, it is a big market. The current penetration of India products into those would be remarkably low. Singapore probably takes the highest chunk of it. The rest of the markets will be even lower than 2%. So there is a significant headroom and an opportunity for businesses that are interested to explore these markets to be able to make that their presence felt here. So that's number one. Second, infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, I mean the infrastructure for buyers to be able to have access to products that are available from places outside of Southeast Asia. And quite like India with Flipkart and Amazon being marketplace presence there, Southeast Asia has a prevalence of such marketplaces, the largest being Shopee, with Lazada, with Tokopedia, and obviously these straddle all of Southeast Asia. So the e-commerce infrastructure, which is also linked to smartphone penetration as well as the internet penetration within these markets, is extraordinarily high. The digital literacy levels here is also extraordinarily high, and hence the propensity for buyers to actually use, feel, and buy the product from outside of their home countries is also quite prevalent in that sense. So that's sort of number two. The other indicator towards that is, especially during these COVID times, 40% of the buyers that have come and bought stuff online have bought from are new buyers. So which means there is an increasing ecosystem of new buyers coming to explore the online space, largely driven from the pandemic that has happened. 36% of the buyers have actually been new buyers who have bought cross-border, which means they have tried to explore the ability for them to consume products which are outside of their home country, which is about 36% of the buyers. So there again, you have continuing down the infrastructure, logistics is a very significant component in Southeast Asia, and the cross-border logistics business is extremely robust and sophisticated for whether it be warehousing systems, whether it be inventory management systems, or simply the ability for a buyer to buy a cross-border product is actually quite quite available for them. So that's the second sort of bit that is there. And the third bit, which is probably more specific to how do the MSMEs in India harness the opportunity within these markets. And that again requires the ability of having tools and technology. And of course, that's where a company like Shopmatic would come in and say that you as a merchant or as an MSME with your products, we are able to have you sell into different markets in Southeast Asia, because we provide the technology and the capability for that to actually happen. And that involves a lot of other plays. It requires the ability to do cross-border payments, accepting payments through cross-border buyers, doing shipping cross-border, and having the ability and the infrastructure to actually start to support the opportunities that come from buyers in this part of the world. We are actually a B2B2C company. So that sort of limits some of the articles that you mentioned, like nuclear reactors and stuff, Mr. Kumar. But otherwise, the general other stuff, consumables and consumable products, is a big play. The other areas that we have seen is apparel, textiles, obviously craft, handicraft, art, packaged foods are significant areas that actually we've seen a huge growth in home decor, furniture, things like that, where we've seen a lot of opportunities come about from that standpoint. So I'm sure you have some questions for me, Mr. Kumar, but I think just leaving you with the three thoughts: there is a huge market opportunity, there is a significant infrastructure capability, and there are lots of partners and tools and providers who can actually support those opportunities for the MSMEs from India.
Well, thank you. I think it was very interesting. I would surely have some questions, in fact, to ask. The first one, of course, I am attracted because I am also associated with a large number of companies in India, and particularly the industry associations across the country. I've been working with them for the last about 15, 20 years. And even Power to SME, the company that I am representing, is also dealing with a large number of companies. So many of them would be interested to explore these markets. So I would initially ask you as to what exactly Shopmatics provides. What are the services that Shopmatics can do for them?
Thank you, Mr. Kumar. So that's my cue to talk a little bit about the company. So essentially, we set up Shopmatic to help businesses, SMEs, and individual entrepreneurs or MSMEs to be able to provide the entire ecosystem for them to go and sell online. And that requires a couple of things. One is for you to be able to set up a online presence with a web store, for you to be able to sell through different marketplaces, to also to do social commerce as well as conversational commerce, have the ability to accept payments, also to ship your products, to do digital marketing, and all of the other elements that come along with it. So essentially, whatever a business requires to explore and harness the opportunity of the digital space, we actually provide that. And what we do is, by virtue of the fact there are a lot of merchants and businesses who are exploring this possibility, we provide it at a very unique, how should I say, pricing opportunity, wherein we provide anybody who starts off, they only pay 3% per transaction and 50 rupees per month. And you can see that that capability that we bring in allows a lot more businesses to come in and explore. And that was one of the purposes that we set up the company for. I mean, when my previous experience was with at PayPal, one of the big elements was that how do we support small businesses to harness that opportunity? And we wanted to be able to help businesses find success. So everything we did was tied with that construct. Now, for some of the businesses, it might be that they might find the technology, even though the product is very simple to use, a little challenging. So we provide e-commerce consultants who sit in Bangalore basically to help businesses to also even set that up for themselves. So we provide that entire suite that you could do it yourself, or you could have somebody do it for them as well. And that's essentially to help them drive success. From there on, we do provide advisory and counseling for them to say, okay, from here, if you want to go out and do cross-border business, how does that happen? What are the different elements that you need? So we can, if we don't have the expertise ourselves, we work with third-party entities to provide that expertise. And I think that's also where I think there's a potential play for someone like a Power to SME versus us to be able to sort of harness that ecosystem to be able to make that play happen quite nicely on that front. So that's essentially what we do. We are actually in conversations with one large logistics provider who is actually working with us to bring some 20 brands from India into a hub in Singapore to be able to then export it to the other markets within Southeast Asia. So there are those kind of specific solution offerings that we are able to provide as well, which is more essentially managed services for businesses.
Yeah, no, I think it's a very interesting, bouquet of services. A lot of useful things which the companies can surely get without investing too much in, their equipments and capital investment or IT infrastructure and all that. So while we take this on record, but the other thing that was coming to my mind is whether you help them in doing some market research also for the expansion of their trade in these Asian countries or any other countries. So because that also becomes very important with regard to customer acquisition or even having the information about the possibilities of products or prices or all this
Yes.
what is happening there in other countries.
And that certainly forms something that we are in the process of building out, which is under our advisory capability, wherein we are able to then provide merchants with the understanding of a specific cross-border market that they would like to go. For instance, if they want to go ahead into Malaysia, what are the behavioral dynamics of that market? What should be the pricing of a particular product? But those are essentially third-party services that we can bring onto the platform as well, because essentially we are at the end of the day software providers. So we may not have all the answers, but we can certainly find people who have the answers to some of those critical questions that become important for businesses to export out from there. So for instance, India itself has a lot of regulatory requirements. If you need to export, you need to have the EXIM licensing and those capabilities as well. And I think that then provides you with the capability of saying, okay, if I can export, then how does logistics work? What is the pricing required? What is essentially the product pricing that you could have, or what is the markup that you could have versus your India pricing that you might have. So those are advisory that we can provide. We may not have that at this point, but there's certainly options that we can bring with third-party providers, especially if there is an interest. And more so if we were to partner with a larger organization and we're working on a specific initiative to say that with Power to SME or with the AIMO, we are able to then make that happen. That becomes a possibility for us to be specific to the needs of the members of the organization.
Yes, and I think that's very useful. The other thing that I was interested to know is having information about these countries where the companies are interested to participate. Information with regard to their local laws or FDI policy, and what is the kind of business relationship that one Indian company can have there. Like in India, you have separate rules for foreign companies.
Yep.
So how do you say? I mean, how
that is a complex piece because each country has its own regulations.
Yeah, that's right.
And again, it goes back again. I mean, we can work on specific solution offering and said because we do have access to information that supports that. We do have partners that we work with because it's common. I mean, if you have an India company wanting to sell something in Indonesia or Malaysia, likewise, it would be rather similar even for a Singapore company to do so. Of course, some of the trade agreements that Singapore has with some of the ASEAN countries makes it different versus what India might have with the bilateral trade agreements and the regulations that come along with it. But those are conversations that can be absolutely had, again, if you were to work on more specific areas, because at the end of the day, what we do is more like a platform in the sense that we make it the solution available to everyone. There is something that we do on expert services and advisory, which can be brought forward for specific interest groups that we might have with Power to SME or with the IMO.
Same way, there is another requirement which a lot of people keep asking, I mean, particularly the associations and groups of industries for having, B2B meetings.
Yes.
In countries. Like if group wants to go, like, Ludhiana group wants to go, cycle manufacturing group wants to go to maybe Myanmar, or some other group, hand tool industry wants to go to some other country and have B2B meetings and also participate in the expos.
Yes.
Because that is part of that delegations, business delegations. So whether Shopmatics also can help in this, or do you have any such, networking with them, with other service
So
providers?
we don't do the networking with the individual government pieces, but again, as I said, there are avenues and there are bodies that can actually support those initiatives and have those conversations to sort of take it to that level. Because I think from that perspective, again, we go back into saying if there are special interest groups with power to SME, again, if I work and say there's a specific solution that we might want to offer to them, then that is something that can be worked on. But at this point, I mean, we don't have that capability, because what we do is we play the intermediary between the merchant and the buyer, or the business and the buyer. And we provide for technology capability to everyone, and we also provide for knowledge capability for some, for those groups. So beyond that, to be able to take that and make that happen is not something that we do, because as you know, we're a young company and we're just starting out our journey. So for us to be able to do a lot of those things may not be possible at this point. So
No, I was hinting at, in fact, various areas where there is a vertical expansion possible, horizontal expansion and vertical expansion
I'm
possible for Shopmatics also.
yeah, I'm
Because
sure,
we
I'm
were
sure.
doing NSIC when I was heading the NSIC. We were, helping these SMEs across the country by handholding, because when SME comes to us, na, or even to you, they would like everything, on the platter, everything.
Completely.
Not only technology, but also linkages, participation, take us to the delegations and get us the information also, product-wise information, and all that intelligence and everything. You are a marketing man.
Yes.
How these people, work.
I could not agree with you more, Mr. Kumar. That is absolutely right. And for us, what we're trying to do is that some of the capability we may not be able to provide ourselves. And hence, we want to obviously partner with experts who actually
Right.
have that capability, but make it available on our offering to them. So that's exactly why I believe that some of the partnerships that we can actually do over here with Power to SME or similar such organizations in other markets become possible for us to do those kinds of conversations that you were mentioning. And there is, and you're right, there is clearly that opportunity for us to go down a particular stream of providing that capability. That is essentially the goal that we have, that we want to be able to provide the entire ecosystem. That's a common line for us that is there, which means it includes expert advisory, it includes the ability to do all of that. But obviously there is a roadmap for that, and we'll obviously build towards that. But yes, directionally, we are clearly moving towards that, and we want to be able to make that happen.
Right.
So
No, I think gradually, hopefully, that things will surely improve.
yeah.
The only thing is, I was trying to narrate the scope of services which MSMEs and industries particularly ask for.
Yeah.
Now, what we are talking about Asian economies, I think also would be true for even other economies, because as far as your services are concerned, irrespective of country,
Yes.
these services, platform services are available.
Yes.
And why only restricted to Myanmar or Singapore or Japan or anything? You could go as far as South Africa and Brazil and all those countries also, I suppose.
Absolutely, I completely agree. And in fact, the point, the fact is that it should not be limited. We should not, and especially the digital world has made it the world a smaller place.
Yeah.
And the access to consumers has become global. It's the business's choice as to where do they want to sell to, how do they want to sell to, and for that they require infrastructure. And that infrastructure is right now the many tools, quite like Shopmatic, companies that actually do provide that capability. And I mean, we would be happy to sort of obviously be the choice for the businesses to use, but there are many tools in the marketplace that allows you to be able to sell, be in one country and sell to multiple countries, multiple customers in multiple countries. For instance, if you're sitting in India, you can actually put yourself out on Amazon.com and have the access to buyers globally. You could do that for eBay.com as well. You could do it with your own web store, and then you can find avenues for you to be able to sell to other countries. So we should not, technology or the infrastructure is not a limitation anymore. It is the mindset and the thinking of the businesses that is the mindset. And that, I think, is an important factor that I think we all, and especially with the Indian government's focus on Atmanirbhar, being able to sort of build the India product story or made in India product story and export that story to outside of India has got a big calling. And I think there are many takers for the product quality, the design, the aesthetic. As you listed out the list of products that are being sold cross-border from India already into Singapore, there's a huge demand. And as we know, there are obviously questions about products from another country, but essentially the India country has that quality factor associated with it. And I think the businesses should be able to harness that. So again, for me, it's never been about the infrastructure or technology being a limiting factor. It's mostly the mindset of the businesses and their ability to service the demand that comes from outside of India. That is the mindset. That's a limitation. And I think the world is their oyster essentially.
Yeah, that's right. And there are a lot of companies, SMEs, I'm talking of SMEs, that they are not in international trade. Maybe they are doing well in India and they want to expand further with regard to, area of operation or maybe products vertically or horizontally. So I'm sure the Shopmatics would be helping such companies also in expansion in, geographically or maybe product wise or in terms of scale of productivity or efficiency. All these areas are also covered by Shopmatics.
Yes, absolutely. In fact, that's what we do. I mean, we want to help the business grow. Essentially, I mean, our success is also tied to the business's success. So that's how we look at it. So we don't come in and charge 10 lakhs for somebody to build a e-commerce web store, which is why our pricing is also tied in with the merchant success. So we make sure that the merchant is finding growth, is finding new avenues to grow. So our success is tied to the merchant success on that front. And that's how we look at the business. So yes, I mean, happily we would be delighted to assist businesses both horizontally and vertically in their growth story to be able to take them to the next level. And it benefits us after it. I mean, of course, it has to benefit the merchant or the business, and then it benefits us.
I'm sure Shopmatics would also be covering the services with regard to functional areas of the businesses and SMEs, like for example, preparing financial projections for submission to the bank or financial institutions. I'm sure that must be one of the.
So financial advisory is something that we do. So we have integrations with third-party solution providers that does accounting and some of those ERP capabilities. But we do also provide that with third-party solution set that actually can make the SMEs look at, especially the ones who might need some assistance in the financial advisory space as well. And we actually do also work with HDFC Bank to provide for any working capital requirements that the businesses might have, wherein that is something that we can actually provide for that capability. So we try and provide the entire ecosystem. Again, just to be cautious, not everything is available for us. Again, as I said, we're starting out. But that's the direction that we are going with, that we should be able to provide for that.
No, I understand. The best thing that I liked is your business model or the revenue model, I would say, that it is related with the success of the business to, derive some kind of output and outcome in terms of revenue operations. So people will not mind, in fact, linking the payouts with their pay-ins.
Yes, absolutely.
So it is not that they have to incur huge expenditure in the beginning itself without even seeing what is the outcome of that expenditure. So it is gradual, and that is what, in fact, makes it very attractive for the SMEs. And surely, I think the participants, and we are going to talk about this to our other clusters and industries when we are going to discuss. We remain in contact, of course, that if there is a demand from particular sector or particular associations, at least they can be connected to your company. And the only thing, as I said, is that their expectations are very, very large.
And wide.
And wide, I mean, they would expect everything on earth, that you are going to help them and mentor them and guide them, and not only, in terms of verbal guidance, but also help them to connect with the institutions, government, and provide them information, right information. All these things are there, but then they also understand about ultimately, time value of, money and all these things they appreciate. Well, I think we have covered. I have covered all the questions that I had in mind. There is a huge scope of these services for the industry, and particularly MSMEs, because they can't afford. They are the ones who cannot afford capital investment and initial expenditure. So I'm going to ask Zubair and Saudamini if they have any questions.
I think there's one question that has come up about packaged ready-to-eat food, I think.
You can answer. Zumair, if you have any question, please tell us.
Sir, we don't received any specific questions here, but I would certainly request Mr. Anurag to kindly share his contact credentials on chat if any of our participants or those who will be watching this session recorded, they can get in touch with you. And also, if you have any specific queries or subject which you want clarification from our side, Power to SME, do write to us on the link of the form that is being circulated just now, so that we will be able to provide you better clarification on the area of your
I
query.
think Mr. Anurag, you had mentioned that there was a question. Probably you were going to answer
I
that.
was saying packaged ready-to-eat food, I think from Mr. Murli. We are exporting nutritious laddus to US and sell through Amazon. Yes, in my view, I will be your first buyer in Singapore if that happens. So yes, there is an opportunity for that to happen in Singapore and in Southeast Asia. In fact, a lot of products actually are coming through from India, which are essentially packaged foods. As long as they are pre-packed, you'll be absolutely fine to be able to export them here. And I think there is a big demand. As you can imagine, there is a big Indian community in Singapore and in Malaysia and other markets as well. And there are a lot of new products that are coming through from India for this specific reason. And I think that would be, great to have something which is nutritional laddus, though it feels like an oxymoron because I'm not sure you can get nutritional laddus. So obviously there's a first for everything. So Mr. Murli, I'm looking forward to something of that sort. Yeah.
No, I'm sure there is a lot of demand for these ethnic products and Indian, cuisine items, packaged foods.
Packaged food is really big.
Must be a lot of demand.
Yeah.
And that is what I was saying, that people keep asking as to which country needs what products and from where they are buying, who are the competitors, what prices, all this information, needs to be collated by the government agencies. I have requested the government also to, in fact, when we say Atmanirbhar Bharat, and we are going for import substitution, banning the products or maybe putting duties, we should be prepared internally also, and we should know which are the products as of now, which are the products being imported by in mass from China and other countries, which we want. I mean, we wish, we can't stop, but we wish that Indian manufacturing comes up and take up those products in a competitive way, not that you take up that product and it becomes uncompetitive. Because if you're buying at 100 rupees and your own manufacturing cost is 500 rupees, it won't work. People will reject that idea, So it has to be competitive. It has to be, based on correct information, based on demand, in fact, based on your real import substitution. So all this information is required by the industries. So we requested the government, in fact, to collate this information, and they have started also. There are more than 3,000 products which are, it is not only export expansion. I mean, even import substitution also can bring in a lot of prosperity to these Indian companies. And that is why we have said that the list should be made available. And then is some kind of a package program whereby, for import substitution, the incentives should be provided, because ultimately they are also saving the foreign exchange. If they are not exporting and earning the foreign exchange by substituting those imported products, they are also saving the foreign exchange. So that is also another.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Dr. Kumar, for the reference of our audience, as you said that unless this collated list of export items is being given out by the government, what you suggest to our audience, what should be the contact point in terms of some government agency or some industry body?
Ministry of
Who can
Commerce
help?
and Industry. Ministry of Commerce and Industry has a department which is called DPIIT, Department of Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. DPIIT. It is a department of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So that is the department which has to collate information, and they have started also. In fact, since last 2 months, they are holding this webinars to explore the possibilities and connect the public sector with the private sector, MSMEs particularly, and collating some information. And we have also requested that, so that is one department, DPIIT. and the other department is the Ministry of MSME, because then MSME also can play a significant role in, boosting the production and manufacturing from MSME sector by dispensing with this information. This is basically market intelligence, and that includes, in fact, which are the items in demand, which country is asking for these items, how much are they importing, and if prices are also available, it will be further helpful. And this information is required in any case by Indian, if you really want to increase your manufacturing contribution to the GDP. So,
And
Zumair?
sir, what your views on what role could these export promotion councils and organizations like FIO could play in this?
See, export promotion councils are basically helping their members in expansion of exports. They have some data available with regard to past exports. So historical data is available. So based on historical data, they know that which country Indian companies are exporting what products, and what are the prices, what is the competition, and what is the ecosystem. But for import substitution, they don't have information. And there is no agency which is compiling any such information. I have not seen any such collated information about import substitution. And with Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, we need that also, an agency which can really collate all these information. Although we have requested the government, but then how far it is, how long it takes, in fact, to collect this information, we have to see. But export promotion councils, they have some database, historical database, they have membership, they help B2B meetings, connecting with the foreign buyers, holding exhibitions, and of course, advocacy with the government with regard to policies. So all that work is done by the Export Promotion Council. Yes, Umer.
Okay, so that was it. I think the entire course of discussion gave a very vivid, clear view to our audience about what and how should MSMEs be moving forward towards expanding towards this Asian market specifically. And I request Dr. Kumar to kindly conclude the session by thanking our guest speaker also.
Okay, okay. No, I think we have had a wonderful discussion. It is very, very informative, little away from our routine webinars, which we have been doing, in fact, on our internal problems. Finance is a problem, marketing is a problem, all these problems, and skill development, entrepreneurship development. These are the issues, in fact, which we have been talking over the period of time, especially during COVID, in fact, the liquidity crisis and how to get back the market, the labor issues and the government problem. But this was a completely different subject and very interesting, of course. The challenges are completely different for the MSMEs and business enterprises. You need across the border, reach. And to reach out across the border, you need a lot of information, help, mentoring, guidance, funding. And if somebody can really give you that help without asking of too much of cost, it is really of useful. So Shopmatics, of course, is a very useful, as I found, it's very useful, in fact, instrument to reach out and expand the operations across the country. And I was trying to explore, in fact, and urge Anurag ji, in fact, to tell us more and more about the company's products and services, which he, of course, tried to link up with, maybe through other service providers or maybe, but we are sure that the company is going to help us in help the MSMEs and business enterprises in finding answers to all these things. I'm sure that besides the ecosystem and IT platform and IT facilitation, I think they are going to gradually help in terms of finding answers to these questions and establishing linkages with other service providers. So thank you very much, Anurag ji. I think it was a wonderful discussion, and we'll continue to talk about this and connect with the industry and keep talking. If you have to say anything, please do that.
Absolutely, Mr. Kumar, and thank you for the privilege of having this conversation with you. It's great to see your experiences and being able to look at a different side of the ecosystem, which obviously connects back up to the whole challenges that are facing MSMEs, both from a domestic as well as cross-border. I could hopefully play a small part in helping the businesses understand what it might take and where we can help support their growth story. So we'd be delighted to participate in any of the future conversations that might be able to help support businesses. But I really thank Power to SME, yourself, as well as IMO, to be able to given this opportunity to share what we have. And there's a lot that can be done. I just want to leave folks with that. The only limitation, as I say, is in the mind. Technology, tools, businesses can happen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Anurag. Thank you very much. And thank you all the participants. I think we have a very, very informed audience, in fact, with us. So everybody is very keen to understand as to what are the products and services and the information. So hopefully everybody will try to take the advantage of this discussion. And thank you, Zumair. Thank you for organizing this wonderful discussion. Thank you. Sudhamini is there?
No, sir. Sudhamini is not there today.
So thank you all. Thank you very much. Over to you, Zumair.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Mr. Anurag, for taking out time and sharing your knowledge on this specific subject with our audience. And I request all the participants to submit their feedback for this webinar to help us understand what else to serve you with in our forthcoming sessions. The link to the feedback is available on the chat box. And thank you, everyone, once again, and have a nice day.